Hi everybody, my name is Michelle from Sweet Pea Farm, and today I'm shooting this video to talk to you guys about our new needle felting kit for sheep. Um, you're going to get the materials in your kit to make at least 2 of the felted lambs or sheep. So when you get your kit and you open it up, first thing you want to make sure that you are very careful about getting the needle out. The needle is going to be stuck between your curly locks and your core wool and a little bag with your black and pink wool tucked, and it's very brittle and easy to break. So get it out gently, don't poke yourself, and stick that in the sponge that's in the bottom of your kit right away so that it is somewhere safe. It's not going to roll around, it's not going to break. Okay, so after you've done that, you want to get your materials out for your kit, and you're going to have a bunch of white or core wool, some wool for the legs and hooves, which you can use in a different way if you'd like to, but that's what it's intended for. There's a little tufts of black and pink that'll be in your bag with your needle, and then of course your curly lamb locks. So the best thing to do initially is to split your materials in half or thirds, depending on how big or small you want to make each lamb. It's your kit, so it's totally up to you, but that way you'll know that you have enough to make the 2 or 3 pieces that you want to make from the kit. So once you've split your materials in half and set the other half aside, you want to begin with your white core wool, and you're going to have to save enough. There's going to be the body, head and neck, and the ears made from the core wool. So whatever half or third you set aside, make sure that you are remembering that you have to do ears, head, and neck on top of the body. So don't just use all the white up for the body, then you won't have anything left for the head, neck, and ears. So your first shape is just going to be an egg shape. So you take your little tuft of wool here, and you want to fold in and roll it tightly as you can, to make the egg shape. I hope the lighting is okay for you guys. I've messed with a few things, and the white is just showing up kind of electric in here, but you just want to roll it tightly into an egg shape, like so. I'm going to add a little bit more to mine to fold her up a bit. And you just want to make sure you always keep one hand on it so that it doesn't spring open. And that is the first shape. So then once you have that shape in place, you're going to take what you guys have in the kit is a 38 star needle. It's kind of the workhorse. It does a good job with everything. And you stab along where you stop rolling, kind of on the end of the wool, so you tack that down, and then you can go around and do some shaping. Now this piece is, like I said, going to be the body. It's not going to be showing because you're going to cover it with the curly locks. So you don't have to do a ton of finishing work to make sure every little wispy piece is covered or is felted in, because it's going to be covered up. So you just want to felt it so that it keeps its shape. It's nice and firm. You know, you don't want it to be super squishy, but you don't need it to be rock hard either. So you do a little bit of stabbing to get your shape in place, and you end up with that. So the body's done, okay? So once you've done the body, you have another piece of your first half of your core wool there, and you're just going to make a little square neck shape. And this is just really to elevate the head off the body a little bit. It doesn't have to be a huge, it's just going to be a little pillow. You fold it into kind of a square. You felt that into shape so that it holds place where you stop rolling. And then once you have your shape here, you're going to pick which end is your heads versus your tails. I feel like I may have company coming, so pardon me the interruptions. But this is, so I'm thinking I'm going to make this end my head's end. So I'm going to mount the neck piece like so on there, and I'm just going to felt all the way around that. After we do the head and attach the head, we're also going to to do a finishing wraparound, so you won't see all these seams, and it'll kind of just solidify it. But we're just gonna stab it into place here so that it's on there. So now we have body and neck. We're cruising right along. Now this is the toughest shape, and at this point, all you have to do is set aside a little tuft for the ears, and you can use the rest for the head, but you don't have to. So I think I'm going to have too much here, but we'll see. Just set aside a little tuft so that you're sure you have enough to do your little ears. And when you roll the head, you want to roll it so that you have kind of one pointed to one wide end. So you want to roll tightly. I might have too much roll on here, I can already tell, but so that one end is pointed and one end is tufty. And now, knowing that I have way too much, I'm just going to pull the bulk of it out of the back of it, because we don't need that there. And I'm going to felt the point where I stopped rolling to make where the nose is going to be. And I'm kind of cruising through this so that the video is not forever long. But you guys definitely, I would definitely be taking my time much more if this was a piece I was just making, not just making to show the video. So continue to felt, keeping that little pointed part to the nose. And this is going to be exposed. This is going to be a finished, the head doesn't get completely covered in wool. You can cover parts of the head and face in wool if you want to, or in, you know, the curly locks, but this is going to be the head and face, so you do want it to be kind of finished looking. Okay, so once you've stabbed your point into place, you have all this fluff back here, then you're just going to take your needle and bring it in. Don't stab in the air, always work on your sponge. But always bring it in, pull, you know, gently sweep it through into the middle, and that'll create the back of the head shape. And then, let's see if I can get this better without the bright sunlight. So now I can shape it a little bit more now that all that loose wool has been brought in from the back of the head. And I'm working on my Walmart car wash sponge that's $1. It's in the car wash section at Walmart. You guys have upholstery sponge in the bottom of your kits, because that's something I could cut to fit in the boxes. They work just fine for this project, for this size project, and many other sizes. It is the type of sponge I started working on and did a lot of my first felting on. These are just inexpensive sponges you can take everywhere. I have all sorts of felting services, and to be honest, these are just my favorite. They go anywhere. If you lose them, it's only $1. When they wear down, you can actually use them as a sponge and wash your car with them or whatever. It's just something that I've come to really like working with, so that's what I use. But you can use any kind of other sponge if you like, or if you're happy with sticking with the little pieces, then the piece that came in your kit will certainly last you through several projects. So, and you just kind of want to shape this piece however you want it to be. It's not a very dynamic. You just kind of want the shape of the sheep head. Okay, so now that you have your sheep head shaped the way you want it, you're going to attach it to your neck on the body. So you just place it where you want it and kind of lay it against your felting surface and start going around the edges of the neck. You felt it as you go, all the way around. And you want to kind of go around a few times to make sure that it stays in place. There are there's quite a bit of stress, that goes on the head when you move that piece around or whatever. So you just want to make sure that you keep it sturdy by really getting it felted solidly on there. Okay? So now it's on the neck, but the neck looks a little scrawny because we felted most of the air out of it with attaching it to the head. So we're going to take a little wisp of our white that we have left and kind of thin it out and wrap it around the neck piece. Let's see, like a scarf kind of. You're just going to wrap it all the way around until you run out, and felt that in place, and that's going to kind of cover up those seams plus strengthen the neck bond to the body, the head to the body, kind of moving straightened out that way. So you're just going to felt that down smooth. Make sure you hold your head in the place that you want it to be with your thumb, kind of, so that as you're felting, you're not disorienting the placement of the head on there. You don't want it to be, looking down on the ground or looking up at the sky. All right, so that's kind of taken the seams out of the neck area. It's strengthened it quite a bit, so that's on there pretty nice and sturdy. So now we have our head, neck, and body. The only thing you have left to do with your core wool is the ears. So you can set that aside for the moment. We're going to work on the little feet, and then we will add on the ears, do the face, and the curls, and we're all done. So the feet are done with the natural color that comes in your kit. There might be a natural gray, a natural brown. Again, you want to take what you have and split it in halves or thirds so that you can make sure you have enough for your 2 to 3 pieces you want to make out of the kit. And then when you have your half or third, you want to take that piece, split that piece in half, and then split each half into halves, because you're going to be making 4 little feet. So you want to make sure you have the same amount of wool going into each foot. Sometimes I'm not the best at splitting halves into halves, but pretty close. So set those aside, and you're going to just roll this piece all the way down, and then once you get a cylinder like that, you're just going to fold the ends in to make a square, and felt that to hold it into shape. The biggest concern when you're needle felting is always to make sure you don't poke the needle towards your fingers, which I'm not always good at. I still get myself, and it really hurts because you're kind of stabbing pretty intently, and if it lands in your finger instead of in the wool, it really hurts. So please, please be careful. It should be fun. When you're not stabbing yourself, So you want to shape this little foot piece into not quite a cube, kind of a shallow cube, if that makes sense, but just a little foot shape. So we're going to go through and do that 4 times, again, rolling the piece down into a cylinder and then turning the ends in to make the square and holding that in place. Okay, so there's 2. Roll it down. ends in. My least favorite part of needle felting any figure is the limbs. I just do not love doing legs and arms and on things. It is, for some reason, my least favorite thing. But this piece is kind of fun because even though it still has little legs, they're stubby. And so you don't have a hard time. A lot of times, like in the felted pig kit, you really need to make sure you get the legs the same. Oh, don't show your mouth. You need to make sure you get the legs the same size because otherwise the pig won't stand up. And you can kind of fudge it when you're attaching it to the body, but it's still pretty important that you get them the same size. With these things, you know, yeah, you want them the same size so it looks nice, but it's relatively going to stand up because they're little nubs for feet. So it's not quite as bad. Okay, so now we have our 4 little feet nubs. We're going to attach them to the corners of the underneath side of our sheep. So just take your sheep and flip it upside down and attach the feet just like you did the head and neck. Just go around the edges and stab it into the bottom of the sheep body all the way around. Make sure it's really well attached. You just do all 4. The first one I did of this, I thought it'd look really cute to have the 4 little legs kind of clustered in the middle. Obviously, well, not obviously because I did it, so I learned from my mistake, but it didn't help the stability of the piece because it was much easier for it to fall over and tip over all the time. So putting each foot out on the 4 corners of the animal underside is much more functional in keeping it to stand on its own. So I'm almost done, and then I will show you all what it looks like on the bottom so you get an idea what I mean by the 4 corners. Okay, so now I've attached all 4 of the little feet on the corners. It's pretty good. Not perfect, but good. And so now she stands up just fine on her own. And now you want to take that little tuft of white that you set aside for the ears and split it in half. Now, this is probably as difficult as the head shape was, but it's not really. I mean, it is, but it isn't. You're going to set your sheep piece aside and decide what kind of ears you want. Do you want pointed ears, kind of like in the poster behind me? You can see their ears come to a point. Do you want the ears to be roundy? Big ears, little ears. Sheep have all different ears. All different kinds of sheep have all different kinds of ears. So it's totally up to you. But you're going to roll the piece, the tiny piece down, and I'm going to make mine a little bit rounded. And I'm just going to roll it and keep the piece like teardrop shape. And I can show you better once I have some of it into place. So I'm going to felt it a little bit more, but I'm just doing little teardrop shaped ears. You can do pointy if you want, or you can do the teardrop and then attach it and put the little point sticking out and attach the round part to the back of the head. It's up to you. It's your sheep, so definitely make it the way you like it to be. So you do 2 of those shapes, whatever your shapes may be, your teardropped or that shape like marquee where it's pointed on both ends. And felting is pretty forgiving. If you make a mistake or one is a little bit bigger, you can always add on a little bit more wool, or you can felt it down quite a bit more to make them even. In the edges, you can just go kind of gently around the edges, making sure to do shallow pokes and keep the edges cleaned up a little bit. And you want to pick up your piece, your little ears, and flip them and felt both sides because the fibers will go through to the other side. The only piece of your needle that's working for you is from the taper to the tip. Everything back here is just smooth needle. It's not doing any felting for you. So you don't have to ever stab past that taper because it's not going to do anything for you. I know when you're working on big pieces, like if you get into this and you get other tools, it's easy to really stab, deeply. Is it beneficial? Maybe for your own personal, like, therapeutic need of stabbing something, but it's not really going to felt it any faster. So you take a tiny bit of your pink. Again, just take half of what's in your kit. Excuse me. And you want to just fill in the centers of the ears with the pink. And again, these kits are all packed based on the weight of the wool. That's how we measure what goes in every kit, so they all have the same amount. And I tried to err on the side of caution and make sure that you had more than enough to do 2 sheets of the size I'm showing you. You may have enough to make a tiny little lamb, or you may want to just scale down the size a bit of all of your sheep and make 3 smaller ones. It's up to you. But these little ears are just going to get felted into the back of the sheep's head, and you kind of want to hold in place and look at where you want it to be before you tack it in. And then you just want to felt it right into the back of the head. And if you do a bit of felting and you look at it and you don't love where it is, you can always take it off and do it again. It's pretty forgiving. Make sure you have the pink facing you, and you do the right angle and size again. Now I'm going to put some wool up the back of the neck and on top of the head because that's what I like. If you don't want to put wool up this part, then take a little tuft of white wool that you have left and cover the back of their head so that you're covering those seams. I'm going to cover, I like a little bit of curls on the face, or on the top of the head and neck, so it's going to be covered by curls anyway. Now we're going to decide on the placement of our eyes. I like to make them just above level with the ears, and obviously a little bit forward. And you want to stab into your shape, your head shape, and make an indent of the size and location of the eye you want, so that when you get the black, you can just place it in there and fill it in. And you kind of want to get it lined up, look head on at your sheep, line it up a bit, and then make that shape again so that it's easier to just kind of fill it in. All right, and then you get a little tiny bit of your black. You could make your eyes, you could use the same color as you did the legs if you wanted to make the eyes that color, and then use the black just to do like the horizontal pupil in there. It's totally up to you. If you just want to make one sheep, you can take your extra leg color and make the sheep's head and ears the darker color too, instead of it being all white. It's just whatever your personal preference is. And you're just going to fill it in. Gosh, my lighting is just not ideal. So you're just going to fill in the little indent you made with a little bit of black for the eye on each side. And then we're going to go back in and add a little tiny piece of white into the upper corners of each eye. And that's just going to be like a little sparkle. So like I said, you guys have 38 stars in your kits. If you had a bulkier needle or a thicker needle, it might help you do some of the other felting faster, but it would also take that black or this little tiny tuft of white, which is the tiniest tuft of white, that we're going to just put in the top left corner of the eye. It would take that tiny tuft and it would just felt it too strongly into the eye and it would disappear. So you want to make sure that you have the right needle for what you're doing, which in this kit the 38 is great for whatever, but you can just see the little eye and then the little white sparkle that I put in the corner. You do that on both sides. Little teeny tiny tuft, you can just kind of roll it in your fingers, place it on there, and then dab it into place. Alright, we are almost done already. So we're going to just put the nose and mouth on, and then we get to do the curls. Alright, again, for the nose and mouth, you can do kind of like in the poster behind me with the big V and then the line down in the mouth, or you can skip the line down if you want. I most often do the line down, but you don't have to. You can do whatever you like. And it's basically just 3 tiny tufts of black that we're going to roll into making it almost like a thread of black wool. And we're going to stick the first one and stab right in the middle first, right in the center for where you want the center of the nose to be. And then go out from each side to make the V shape for the nose. And again, I'm kind of going fast just to make sure that you guys don't get bored watching this video and get the idea. But there's the little V for his nose. And then you make another tiny tuft into a little black. You just kind of roll it in your fingers to make almost a black thread. And you want to center that and make a little mouth. And you can take the center up to the middle of the nose if you want, or you can make a separate line. It's up to you. Depends on how much of a line you made with your wool. I always make crooked smiles unintentionally. Okay, so now you have your nose and your mouth, and you just have to connect them with the line if you want to, or you can leave it this way. It's totally up to you. So you just take an even smaller little black tuft, roll it in between your thumb and finger to make a line, and then felt that from the center of the nose down to the mouth. And that's a little sheepy face. Alright, now all we have left to do is the funnest part, which is attaching the curls. These curls in your kit are a BFL lamb fleece, which is blue-faced Leicester. It was not like the best blue-faced Leicester fleece I could find, but it was a good length for a lot of the projects I do, whether it be sheep or like gnomes, or you can make it mermaid hair if you want to dye it blue or green. We sell this in the shop separately, so if you did want to get more, I have gray and then I have the white that you can dye. But you just take half of your curls and you start kind of taking sections, and you want to fluff them out a bit and just attach them. You can be very neat about it if you want to take each lock and kind of attach it from the center of the sheath down, or you can just kind of haphazardly do it. It depends on how you want your sheath to look. It's totally up to you. So you just want to keep taking sections and fluffing it out and tacking it on. And I like to take the cut end, which is the more blunt end of the lock, and make that go up on the top, and then kind of let the natural curls kind of hang off the side of the body. As you can see, they kind of, they kind of let the curls hang off the body there a bit. So I have windows coming from both sides, and it's just making everything, these white things blow out. But so yeah, you can attach it all the way around, and then I'm going to try to do the rest of mine kind of quickly so I can get to the head and neck part. If you just want the wool or the pearls on your sheep's body, you can leave the head and neck alone, and that's totally fine. I would just, like I said, recommend covering the creases of the ears on the back of the head with some plain wool. But I like to put a little up the back of the neck and around the neck, and then up on top of the head. My personal sheep have, of course, wool on their heads and faces, so that would be my preference. But a lot of sheep breeds don't have. They have an open face, which means they don't have wool on their face. So you can do it whatever way you like. You just want to get some down the chest. And don't be afraid to flip your piece around as you're working on it. It's not going to hurt it. Just flip it around so that whatever angle you're stabbing at is away from your hand and towards the sponge. And these are, I would consider, beginner projects. So if you definitely want to try to do this with a younger child, I would say school age or more. Well, obviously school age or more. More would be an adult, right? But if you want to do this with a school age child, I think that it's totally doable, except for you just want to be sure to supervise with the needle and explain to them, how to be careful with it and that it could break. So then I'm going to take my last tuft and kind of spread it out. And again, this is the blunt cut end. You can see here. And then this end ends with the little curly cues. I'm going to put up towards the face and let kind of hang over and just tack those in where I want them on the top of the head. And then felt the rest of this back down around his neck. And that is our little felted lamb. You guys can be creative with these, make a little flock. If you need more materials, we have them in our Etsy shop, which is etsy.com/shop/sweetpeafarmny. You can add little bells with ribbons around their neck. I make them like that a lot. Or you can take those little silk roses that you can get anywhere and sew one in their ear. Those are just some things I've done. But I think they're totally cute, and they definitely look cute as a flock. They look cute in a nativity scene or a nursery. They're definitely, child safe to play with, but if you do let little kids, like toddler age, play with them, just make sure you watch them that they don't rip the pieces apart or whatever, because it's felted, but it's not perfect. So yeah, so that is our felted lamb. And I hope you guys enjoyed your kit. I hope nobody poked themselves. If you have any questions, please email me at sweetpeafarmny@yahoo.com. That's also on your kit box and on the insert inside. And enjoy your felting. If you get more into it, there's so much more you can do. You can flat felt. You can felt anything. You can felt on armatures if you want to do big things with thin legs that are posable. So it's definitely a fun thing to get into. And if you ever just need to talk about felting, email me. I love felting. It's so much fun. So I hope you enjoyed your kit. I hope that you love the little sheep you make for yourself or whoever. And until next time, thank you guys so much for watching and for buying our kit. And if you like the movie, please subscribe to our channel. Have a great day.